Okay, hi everybody, and thanks for joining us this evening. For the next few minutes, James, Stacie, Mary, and I would like to present to you our idea for reconceiving the process of creating independent film, and very much in the spirit of creating an equitable, soulful, sustainable, and healthy ecosystem. We'd like to call the idea Film America. Film America begins with an understanding, as we looked at the very beginning of the conventional process, that yes, a script, a name actor, big studio money, all of these things can be a part and an important part of how an independent film gets conceived, and begins. Some combination of these three things with, of course, some other elements in the conventional model are oftentimes how an independent film gets off the ground. We'd like to flip that upside down and talk about starting on the ground with a specific location. And not just a physical location that's on the map with a latitude and a longitude, but we actually mean the hopes, the dreams, the experiences of the people in that location. We mean to derive a story, to create the entire experience organically from the soil of that place and those people. If we're going to start our process with identifying a location that could give rise for us to a brand new film, we should have a set of criteria by which to look around and identify what particular location might actually work best for us. So we created a set of criteria, and to help us remember them, we associated those with the word locate. The first one is that we have described our intention to embed ourselves into the community, to be good citizens of the community, to tell a story that has organically grown from the community, and to celebrate and involve everyone as much as we can in the process of making the film about or centered in a story that came from them. So given the fact that they'll know that, we hope very much that we might be able to identify a small town somewhere in the country whose citizenry would like to welcome us and to support our process. Also, we would hope that organizations within the community centers, community organizations, not-for-profit organizations would understand our mission and be anxious to partner with us. But we also want the money of the corporate citizens of that town, and perhaps larger corporations who are headquartered in that town or that have franchise branches in that town, and medium-sized factories and other companies who would be interested in supporting our work and giving us a boost financially. Given the fact that we intend to be good citizens and to really be a part of the community while we are there telling our story, we would hope to have an in-kind contribution in return in the enthusiasm of the community members and the places and people that are part of that place, so that we would be able to, say, for instance, secure a cafe for a weekend and all sorts of other, there's a long list of possible in-kind contributions that we would hope to see. We would never forget the T, which is, of course, the tale to tell. The story itself has to be worthy of a good movie. So even if the community itself meets all these criteria, we still have to feel as if we can start to grow organically from that place a really good story that would make a really good movie. And finally, we thought it would be a bonus that if the town or place that we chose had an institution of higher learning, either in there or somewhere in the surrounding area, so that we could offer our process to that institution as a learning opportunity for the student body and for others of the university community that were interested. And also, they might in turn offer us space, maybe equipment, or even personnel in the form of students and other people that were part of that community who might be interested in helping us to make the film. So those are the criteria by which we might look around and see if we can find ourselves a good candidate to start the conception of our first film. The other really important component of what we're asking you to envision today is that in addition to the individual project, the individual film that's rooted in the community that we've selected, We actually very much intend to continue going, one community, then the next community, then the next community. And it became clear to us really early on that if we're going to do that, why don't we create an organization whose 5-year plan is detailed in a business way, in a business plan, so that we can show mathematically and with feasible numbers how we can become profitable after a 5-year period, which means after having made the first 5 films, so that we're moving from one community to the next community to the next community, enjoying the growing, the aggregate, exponentially expanding support of one community, then the next one, then the next one. And in so doing, we thought we might actually create an organization that would be the central business hub that would organize and help us to grow in that way, which brings up Film America Corporation. When we're seeking investment and when we're seeking interest, we have a whole second pool of people that we think we could attract in terms of investing, so that in addition to investing in the individual film, there's a whole other area that we could invite people to invest in, which would be the corporation itself. And so they could invest in the corporation. And after a 5-year period, according to our business plan, start to expect a return on our growing revenue. And in an ideal situation, we would hope that the funding for the individual film from the community and the funding for Film America Corporation would dovetail and make each film something that was financially covered. In the real world, we thought that there are plenty of little towns that would meet the locate criteria and become, at least on first blush, very appealing possible candidates for us to land and grow our story. But for the purposes of our presentation to you guys today, we're going to create an imaginary space. And to describe that imaginary place, I'll hand it over to Mary.
So we chose Core City, and Core City met our locate criteria. They had a corporation called Pie Tractor who wanted to work with us, and a college, Core University, showed an interest in working with us. And wow, we discovered this totally heartwarming story in Core City called Delicious. Now, I'll just go back to that next one, Charles. Just think of all the movies that make place the main character, right? That's what we did here. We decided on Delicious, the movie. So I'm going to show you what happened next. First, we chose Core City. And then while the script was being written, we joined the community. Once the crew arrived, the very first thing we did was to embark on a community project. Then we filmed the feature and a featurette about the city or town where we were. And we stayed right there and did post-production and marketing at the university. So let's look at how we made all this work budget-wise.
Each crew member working on the film made a living wage, and in-kind investments helped balance the budget. These included location rentals, parking, props and picture cars, security, meals, and much more. This was an investment because those who contributed were compensated with an equity stake in the Film America Corporation, as well as free advertising in future screenings and releases. Film America connected with the community to make the film. We engaged and hired townspeople to be a part of our production through paid labor and in-kind investments. Film crew worked reasonable hours and were given other perks. We took our time with production because this was an investment in the community, and in turn, they invested in us. The Delicious premiere was in Core City at the Film America Film Festival. FAFF travels each year to the city it filmed in the previous year, launching distribution and returning on investment with ticket sales and tourism as the festival grows from city to city. The distribution plan starts small in the town where we made the film, with the festival premiere and a limited release at small theaters in cities where our investing partners wanted to increase their consumer awareness. This was built into the original budget. The featurette was filmed about Core City and sponsored by our investing partners, screens free on social media platforms, YouTube, across the internet, where we'll also generate ad revenue. Our grassroots marketing task force is made up of locals, press, influencers, college students, laborers, and other townspeople. Marketing will grow with each region we film in and drive tourism back to our communities. But what else does Core City get in the long run?
So Core City gets a feature film filmed on location with local participation. They get a featurette, which is a short highlighting an issue, topic, or story important to the local seed money company. And what that would be is, for instance, the company would interview the employees, find out their wants and desires, what's really important to the town, and make a piece that they would be proud of. And also, while they're waiting for the feature film, we can show this film around town and it'll generate enthusiasm. And also, hopefully, the company will donate more money. There will also be a small additional community project separate from our films. Our team builds, repairs, or volunteers for something the town needs before production. For example, the first Sunday, maybe the bowling alley needs painting, or the school needs painting. Whatever the community needs, we will fulfill that. Next, we will leave behind a film office, which is dedicated to local stories that remains after Film America leaves for anyone interested in learning about filmmaking. For example, if there happens to be a university, maybe students man the office with a professor, and they come up with local stories to keep perpetuating the interest of filmmaking in that community. And it perpetuates because as students come and go, there will be continuing supply of personnel. There will be increased tourism and spending in the town, and in-kind contributors become investors in the film and can see returns for many years. Next, Charles. Film America believes in revitalizing communities by finding hidden gems in places where nobody's looking. And treating those communities like A-list stars. The old way of shooting an indie film on location was kind of the following. You shoot in LA on a Hollywood soundstage. If you have to shoot on location, you do it in as few days as possible. You bring in your own above and below the line talent. You shoot without respect for the location. You don't attempt to connect with the locals. You go home to do post and you premiere in the usual cities. Well, we'd like to change that. The new way is to shoot entirely on location, arrive early and stay late, give above and below line jobs to locals whenever possible, do a community project with the locals to bond with them, make improvements to the location before leaving, do post-production there, premiere locally, and as we said, leave a film office for future productions. As many of you know, 8,000 people traveled from all over the country to Dyersville, Iowa last week to watch a baseball game. 5.9 million people watched on television. They came because of a movie. Film America is our field of dreams. We believe that if you build it, they will come.